Well, good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. You know, we're going to try something a little different here today. Of course, I'm showing the Toyota Tacoma behind me. That is my current truck. But, as many of you may know, prior to this, I had a 2018 Toyota Tundra Crewmax. So I thought I'd get on here and talk about the things that I miss. You know, it's been a while now. What is it that I miss that I had with the Tundra that I don't have with my new Tacoma here? So stay tuned, and I'm going to go through a few things that I wish I still had. Okay, we're going to start off on the outside. And some of these may be, you know, fairly obvious, and some may not. But the truck that you see here behind me is actually the Tundra Crewmax that I had before, for those of you who don't know. It was a cement colored. I had done some mods to it. I, of course, up here in the front, put the matching right there. Bumper caps on, changed the grille, put the hood bulge on to match. And then over here on the mirrors, right there, I got rid of that chrome stuff. I changed the, or rather I debadged it, took some of the badging and stuff off, tinted the windows, changed the antenna over there, and a few other things. But where I want to start right now, here on the outside, is with this step. You know, the Tacoma, of course, is smaller. It's smaller and it's more compact, if you will, in the entry area here. So to get in and out, you kind of got to bend down a little bit while you're stepping on the side steps. One thing that I really liked about this Tundra, two things actually. The side steps, they were easy to hit. I mean, when you walked up, you didn't have to stand there and try to figure out where they were, make sure that you hit the step. They were big enough that you just hit it if you just walked up and went to put your foot on it, no big deal. But when you get in, the distance, let's see here, the distance between the roof here and the floor was much bigger. So it was easier to kind of just step right into the truck. You didn't have to bend over at all or kneel down or anything like that to get in. So I guess ease of entry will be the first thing that I mentioned. It was easier to get in and out of the Toyota Tundra. All right, this next one, really pretty obvious. I mean, you can see behind me here, it had the giant 5.7 liter V8 in it. Of course, the Tacoma has the V6. So I did have more oomph, if you will, more power in the Tundra motor than I do in the Tacoma. Now, it's not something that I miss horribly. Oh, and while we're in here, you can see too, I did put the TRD cold air intake on it. That was kind of cool. But again, I don't miss it horribly, but it is something that, you know, once in a while when I want to stomp on it, just a little bit less power in the Tacoma than there was in that Tundra back there. So the motor, that V8 motor, do miss that just a little bit. Okay, going right along with that motor, of course, was the sound that it made. You guys can see back here, it did have dual exhaust on it. I had actually upgraded that. I went with the TRD Pro exhaust in combination with the TRD Pro cold air intake. Now, I didn't get a lot of noise out of that intake. I really didn't, although I did like the way that it looked. So there were no regrets in doing that. But there were two reasons to do this exhaust back here, and one was obviously appearance. I love the dual exhaust. I would have preferred that it would have come off the back of the truck. That would have been even better, but didn't have that option with the TRD exhaust that I went with. The sound, you know, when you turned it on, you had that nice little V8 grumble that you get, of course, with a V8 and an upgraded exhaust. I really did like that. Do I miss that? Yeah, I miss that a little bit. I am going to do something with the exhaust on the Tacoma, but I really doubt I'm going to achieve that nice, deep, grumbly sound that I had on my Tundra back here. So that is definitely something that I miss. Oh, and one other thing I'll mention, if you watch the channel, you know I'm an anti-chromist. In the end, I did paint these exhaust tips. They were black. All right, let's move into the inside now, and you can see this scrappingly good-looking fella here beside me. This wasn't a big deal for me, and it really had absolutely nothing to do with the truck. But it comes into play being a YouTuber, all right? It had a sunroof in it. I'm not really a huge sunroof fan. You know, whether a vehicle had or didn't have a sunroof would never have stopped me from buying it or not in the past. The Tacoma I have now does not have a sunroof, but there is one thing that I miss about that, and again, this is directly related to being a YouTuber. I would stick my camera on the glass on that sunroof and be able to point it really 360 degrees around the inside of the truck, and that gave me the ability to have different camera angles in that truck. So I do miss that. I miss not having that option. Again, I could be driving a Prius with a sunroof in it, and it would achieve the same thing. So not really Tundra related, but I did lose that when I went to the Tacoma. And it would be nice to have a sunroof again, just for that reason. Again, not because I like them, but because for what I do, YouTubing, it's awful nice to be able to hang a camera off of the sunroof. All right, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it now. You can see behind me here, obviously, this is the interior of the Crewmax that I had. Couple of things in this. One is the space. You know, any of you guys who have ever ridden in a Crewmax trim level of the Tundra know that it's cavernous inside. I mean, you can sit over here on the driver's seat and you almost need binoculars to see the passenger over there, you know. I mean, it's really not that big, but there is a lot more space. I mean, obviously, in the Tacoma now, when Krista and I are in it, we're fairly close. It's not that it's horrible by any means. I mean, there is still a lot of room. It is a truck, after all, the Tacoma. But the Tundra was just humongous inside. And I had mentioned many times on the channel that even though it was so large, it's the first full-size truck I ever had that felt like you were driving an SUV. It didn't have that huge truck feel. And I think that was because of the shortness of the hood. It made you feel closer to the front, I guess. And to me, that made it feel smaller and easier to drive or place on the road. But the main point here is just the cavernous size that the Tundra Crewmax had. I mean, it was just massive inside. It also had the leather seats. That's not a big deal for me. I do like leather, but it's not a deal breaker either way. There are pluses and minuses to whether you go with cloth or leather, in my opinion anyway. So I did like the seats that were in the Tundra, or the Tundra though. We did take that truck on a trip from Ohio to Colorado, and never once did I feel like I was uncomfortable in that truck. And I should say from Ohio to Texas, not Colorado, from Ohio to Texas. And I never felt uncomfortable in that truck. It always felt good on the back and never started to, you know, bug you after you sat there for a while. And we spent a lot of time in that truck. I think the whole thing round trip was about 38 to 40 hours, something like that. So we had a lot of seat time, and it was pretty comfortable. All right, here's the last thing that I'm going to mention on this topic or in this video. And that is, and this is very, very specific, front center console storage right there. Of course, the center console storage unit in the Tundra is much larger, probably 4 times as large, I would say, as what I had in the Tacoma. Now, I've mentioned in other videos about how far superior the Tacoma is to the Tundra as far as every other aspect of storage goes. I mean, in the back of the Tacoma, you have tons of storage that I certainly didn't have in the Tundra. But the one area that the Tundra surely trumps the Tacoma is in this center console storage area. And there's a couple things that go along with that. Not only is it deep and wide, you can stick a lot of stuff there. You could put a safe in there if you're a concealed carry holder, like myself. Not that I couldn't put a safe in the Tacoma, I certainly could. But just much more room in there if you did that. I think if you put a safe in the Tacoma, you really would lose most of the room that you have. You can even put a half safe in here so that you still have half of that console area open. The other thing is just basically room to put your arm when you're driving. I mean, there's a ton of room on this thing on both sides. You know, your passenger can be over here, although they have a smaller area than you do, but that's the passenger. But you have a ton of room here to put your arm on. And it's not to say that there isn't any room on the center rest in the Tacoma. There certainly is. But this thing is just, it's bigger, it's more padded, it's massive. I mean, it's a full-size Tundra Crewmax. This is the one area where I think Toyota really is doing a great job by providing an area that has so much room for your stuff and your arms and comfort in the front. They're really doing a good job there, and hopefully when they do their refresh someday, I've heard 2021, something like that, they won't destroy that center console area. Let's hope not. We'll see. Okay, so to finish up here, and you can see my background is starting to degrade on me. I think it's because it's getting darker outside. I can step over here and you see what happens. But anyway, to finish up here, I just wanted to kind of get on and talk about some of the things that indeed I am missing in the Tacoma that I had in the Tundra. Now, that doesn't mean by any means that I have some deep regret in going to the Tacoma. I do not. The Tacoma fits the space that I have right now, as I've mentioned before, and the mods that I wanted to do in the future on whatever truck it was that I have, given the space that I had. So there are no big regrets. Will I have a Tundra again someday? Yeah, I would say so. Maybe sooner than you think. It's probably pretty likely because I really did like the Tundra. It's by far the most favorite full-size truck for me, I guess, that I've ever had. No issues with it, plenty of space, plenty of power, decent looking truck. You know, I've mentioned before, it's not my favorite when it comes to looks. That is the Tacoma. I still say the Tacoma is the best looking truck on the road. And then of course followed by the Ram Rebel, another truck that I had. But the Tacoma is top 3, so it gets at least a blue ribbon, I guess. Anyway, just wanted to get on here, talk about those few things. Appreciate you guys watching. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Let me know what you think about this crazy background thing that I have here. Not really the one that's degrading right now. And don't forget to click that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the web. Have a good day. Bye.